is very important to us.
You're listening to Team Call with Beaksy, your direct line into daily conversations with the team behind one of Chicago's fastest growing Bitcoin startups. In each episode, you'll gain firsthand insight on topics ranging from entrepreneurship and operation strategy to technology and cryptocurrency market analysis. Whether you're looking to level up your trading acumen or you just want some alpha on how to run a startup in crypto land, you'll hear about it on Team Call. So who's already on? Beaksy's co-president, Bay Abbott, in addition to James Carney and Steve Sophocleos, who head up the marketing team, and Cooper Craighead, director of customer support. Let's join in.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna...
Sorry, we got the recording in progress.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it, but I figure if it sounds good, might use it. So never know.
Indeed.
Stay vigilant. You never know what good things might come your way. So I saw that you were hoping for good news today in your update yesterday. Has that been forthcoming, or?
I'm hoping for good news on a couple of things, but we shall see. KSM is weird. There's something, I don't know if it's an issue just with that pair or with Deltix as a whole or what's going on, but the logo isn't showing up on the platform. The chart does this weird thing where every once in a while when I refresh, and it only seems to affect that pair, all the historical candles will disappear. I'll only see the most recent candle.
Weird.
So everything has been tested.
Does this have anything to do with KSM, or is this just...
No, this is entirely like us. This is entirely the platform. So Naeem was talking to Deltix about it. They said that they fixed it. It does not seem to be fixed. It seems to be better, but it doesn't seem to be fixed, and still can't see the logo. I asked one of the platform guys, platform devs, about it, waiting to hear back from him. I haven't heard back from him yet, though, and he's usually pretty prompt, so I may reach out to one of the other people on his team and see if they have a more expedient response as to why. Is this something that can be fixed on our end, or do we have to wait for Deltix to look at this? Kind of what's going on. It's annoying because it's stuff that I've never seen on a listing. These are new sort of issues and errors that I've never actually encountered before. So I don't really know where to start or who to really drill on. I think you were on the call on Tuesday when I said that I spent an hour or something on the phone with Vitaly and Sergey, and they got to the point where they were generating specific wallet addresses inside of Curve.
Yeah.
That, unfortunately, is still the last update that I have. That was basically testing the individual functionality of the wallet creation. I don't know. I need to check in with him and see where he's at in regards to the overall project. They were supposed to be testing yesterday, and I haven't heard anything from him yesterday or today. So I'm going to check in with him right now and see what he has to say. I mean, it is ultimately good, much better than their previous estimate of a month. Even if it does take this whole week to get it resolved. Yeah, would like to know what's going on.
I would like to know what's going on too, because it seems like dog money is just blowing everything out of the water in the past 48 hours.
So annoying.
Did you guys see that one that wallet that had $5 billion worth of SHIB?
Yeah.
That bought 8,000 a year ago.
Yeah, that hasn't touched it in 6 months.
I wonder what they could in one large sell get for that.
Is this class of billionaires better or worse than the billionaires that were minted by other ridiculous?
Worse.
Remains to be seen.
Worse. Oh no, it's going to be so much worse. It's absolutely 100% going to be worse.
I saw SHIB was leading the day all day yesterday, and now Doge is back crushing it again, up 30%. But yeah, I don't get it at all. I'm probably just too old. I don't know.
I mean,
yeah, we're boomers now in crypto.
I get it. I just don't like it. Like, I totally.
It's not a good sign, that's for sure.
Yeah. My overall thinking on it is this. I think it's great that it is in some way fueling adoption and interest and things like that. But I think in this case, it's a double-edged sword because the money that is going into it, and the people that are getting into it, it's like what happened a lot with the rush of 2017 is you ended up with a lot of people who see this as like a cash grab.
Instead of something more legitimate.
Right. So you're going to end up with a lot of people who get in
and get out. Like
either get in, get out, or get in at the wrong time in this, end up losing everything because they're going on the advice of someone who's like, just buy Shibu, you can't lose. And I think it's also going to fuel a lot of incredibly half-assed, stupid projects.
Yeah. And paid groups.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to end up with another rush of things that are kind of meant to die. And that only ends up hurting crypto as a whole. I think it's good for the space in a sense and terrible for the space in another.
To me, it's interesting if I don't know what the spat is with Shiba versus Doge and all these days, but to me, it's interesting if Doge ends up becoming this weird cheeky like not really wanted in the first place, but like democratizer of every man's crypto kind of thing and somehow becomes legitimate. Like it's going to be really weird and I'm not going to like it at first for a lot of reasons, but also maybe it's not that bad. Like that's weird enough to be kind of like a stranger than fiction type reality, like where that's just how it goes down. Dogecoin ends up being the standard.
I mean, I do like the democratization angle, that could easily be part of what is sort of fueling this is like Bitcoin and ETH in particular just exploding recently, prior to Shiba going absolutely nuts and people feeling like they missed that boat.
Why are there two? Do you or Steve know, like why does Shiba even become a thing when there was Doge?
Okay, I would almost look at it as just like Charlie Lee making Litecoin, just a slightly different version.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But
it did. I mean, it had more volume than Bitcoin and almost twice as much volume as Ethereum, which is crazy. It had 45 billion in 24-hour volume.
It's insane.
I wonder if somebody's like, there's got to be somebody leading like a paid group for specifically dog coins only.
Oh yeah, there's tons of them. I see them on Snapchat a lot, which is hilarious.
You can even have an index fund on Stacked or something for like a dog
money index. I actually sold all my Sama last night. They were pumping a little too hard for me.
But yeah, ultimately, I think Cooper's right. And maybe we talked about this once before when Doge was king of the scene, a few months ago. But it just kind of makes the whole industry look bad. Not for any other reason than kind of what Cooper said, which is cash grab, strong buys, strong sells, insane volatility because nobody's treating it as a more legitimate option than just an in and out.
And, when it comes down to it, I feel like a lot of people don't want a lot of regulation in the space, which is unrealistic because it's coming whether people want it or not, as clearly evidenced by the SEC just going around stomping everything that it can get its hands on. But I feel like things like this only invite much higher levels of scrutiny into what people are doing with crypto.
Yeah, it just ups it takes the speculation meter and drags it to 100, right?
Yeah.
And I think that a lot more people buy in. I mean, we've talked about this before, but Doge is seen as a lot more of a lottery ticket than some of these others, right? I think people essentially know at this point they're not planning to become a billionaire off of Bitcoin, at least not for the next 10 years or something. But some of these lower cap coins that have a potential to explode, people are buying it like lottery tickets. So it's gambling, right? And I don't know. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't use that word because
it's pretty accurate.
It is. SHIB is what most people think crypto is.
Yeah.
From the outside, yeah.
And
is there any technological difference in what is SHIB? What blockchain is SHIB on?
It's an ERC20.
Okay, because Doge is a Bitcoin hard fork, right?
I mean, I don't want to say
it
hard
has an
fork.
address
Like,
for the Binance Smart Chain too. So I think it's probably. I do think it's its own chain now.
yeah, I think Doge is its own chain.
Oh, okay.
Whether it started as that or not, I can't remember. I do think that there's some entertainment in the idea that, and this is obviously almost common knowledge at this point, but that Doge was created as a joke, basically to prove that people would buy anything.
Now has the backing of the richest man in the world.
Right. And I think that possibly makes it an even funnier joke to a certain degree. Like, joke's on you, creator of Doge. Like,
yeah, that's what I mean.
Actually works.
That's what I mean. It's like that reality I talked about, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, I think that obviously there's something to be said for the audience of crypto. Clearly, if you were to in some way create a currency in traditional finance that was based off of an internet meme, it would have died shortly after. But crypto does have, like, the money that is in crypto, short of Elon Musk or Mark Cuban, you know, really is kind of getting thrown around by a bunch of people who I feel like could get yelled at a lot for this, but don't know what they're doing.
I'll cut it out if you can.
It's interesting because it's like, so bringing up gambling, when you go to a poker game and you're sitting there and you are playing very strictly by the math and by probability, and you are
executing with discipline.
Yes. Effectively, like you're playing for a long game, you're playing, you know, to win a tournament or whatever. I feel like that is sort of traditional finance, and that there's, you know, rules and structure, and like there's reasons for doing all of the things that you do. And what's happening in crypto a lot is like people winning out on the river. Like,
yeah,
they don't know what they're doing. They're playing a hand that they shouldn't be playing in the first place. And they end up winning huge pots. And I think it's going to have then the same effect where, like, they take those winnings and start doing ridiculous things with them.
Theoretically, if that's true, though, they should be poor again pretty fast, right? Like, didn't I?
Yeah.
I thought I heard some. I don't even want to, like, you know, broach giving the actual statistic, but I think there's some statistic on like the number of lottery winners that are poor again within 5 years, and it's weirdly high.
Oh, it's like the vast majority.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's all a flash in the pan, but what I think is interesting is maybe Doge is like, did you guys hear about that? I think it was like some international foundation that like bought a boat on to like help clean up the ocean or something like that. And they asked like Reddit what it should be named. Do you guys remember that?
Bodie McBoatface?
Yeah. They got a bunch of options, did the whole thing like super democratically, and like the internet people overwhelmingly voted for like, you know, Bodie McBoatface. So I feel like that's crypto people are kind of like internet people on steroids. So, you know, you're probably going to get weird.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, people that effectively live on the internet.
Yeah, and they just like really, not vulgar, but just really wantonly cheeky shit for no reason, like all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's an interesting aspect to that, which is like as far as crypto goes, you know, Doge and SHIB technically shouldn't be able to really like interfere with any other part of the world. Like money goes into them, money comes out of them. It's kind of, to a certain degree, it's kind of whatever. What, like, that same sort of mentality, I think, is what fed into like the whole like GameStop, AMC
right
you know, us versus the venture capital hedge fund type of people mentality.
I found out that my like 45-year-old sister is one of those people. Like the other day, she just like told me that her like mom's group was somehow, I don't know who radicalized them from Wall Street bets, but like every mom in her mom's group is holding AMC stock and not selling it, like no matter what.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
It's an interesting data point, right? Because like, it's not the kind of person you expect. I guess if it's just a whole bunch of moms across America and like other people that, not that like some moms aren't like day trading and like constantly online, because they probably are, but like a lot of people that just are doing it because it's like a thing that happened in their group that they want to be part of, and they're not really paying attention to the price. They don't really care about the price. It's more of just like being a part of the thing, and they're going to hold it till whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think that sort of branches into another interesting point, which is that maybe part of my disappointment in the dog coins going absolutely crazy is that all of that that community and that money and that whatever could be used very quickly and very easily to have a profound and lasting impact on the system in another way. Like could totally upend parts of the status quo, could do something akin to Wall Street bets and like really change the financial system, at least in theory, for the positive.
Instead, it's getting funneled into like a meaningless blow off valve. Is that what you're saying?
It's not.
Yes.
It actually isn't completely meaningless. I think because they gave Vitalik half of the like entire supply of SHIB. I think he gave like $1 billion to India to help with their COVID situation. So I imagine if they held on to that, they could have like another 5 billion.
India is the richest country on earth.
I think, if I remember right, I think that at least the majority of it got sold immediately and crashed the price. Like,
well, I mean, if you get $1 billion, you can sell that. You don't need much more.
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that like they got it, or maybe it was.
Definitely a little bit of good came from that.
Some people call it charity. What I see is an India airdropper, who came in and dumped the price.
Oh,
call it charity, call it airdrop. I don't know, but
yeah, I don't know. And maybe something interesting still does come out of it. Maybe that, maybe they find a way to use their powers for good. But at the moment, it just seems a lot more puckish than anything else. Like it's just like not harmful necessarily, but like a lot of people just sort of fucking around because they can. I think the end result, though, is that a lot of people could easily be hurt, and then that
will happen. Yes,
yeah, and then that will certainly happen. Crypto back all over again. And in order for things to happen, like Bitcoin reaching $100,000, $500,000 a coin, it needs like more money has to come from somewhere, right? And it needs like that sort of legitimacy, and it needs that sort of adoption to fuel this influx. And if people see this, see stories again where, well, I lost all of my money gambling on Shiba. I don't know. maybe it won't be as bad as I think. I'm
Not
just
to mention, they're going to get screwed on ERC20 gas fees on top of it.
God, yeah.
So no,
That you are not wrong about.
I would go with Dogecoin. I don't know. Speaking of which, I'm not currently in the U.S. So I don't get as much of this stuff. What's going on with the capital gains thing and unrealized capital gains? Is this dead in the water, or is it still?
I don't think so. I think there's a vote on that today, if I'm not mistaken, or potential vote today. Yeah.
That's unreal.
Now, they say it'll be relegated to billionaires. I don't believe that for a second, but I'd be happy to be proven wrong now.
I don't know how that can make any like economic sense, right? Because
it's just, how do you who determines, first of all, who's wealthy enough to be covered for that? And then how are you calculating that wealth, right?
Let's say even if you are insanely wealthy, that's still ridiculous. As a principle, it's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I can if you're getting a loan off of that money that you can go and work with, I don't have a problem if it's 1% or 2% or whatever. But if you go, I definitely prefer not to see that still, just because I think it would drive prices up unnecessarily, more than they already are right now, because they're just going to pass that cost off to their customers. But yeah, I haven't seen specifics of what that rate would be, how it's calculated. Is there a high water mark or something like that?
Yeah, it's super interesting because I think governments around the world are reeling from all of the COVID stimulus that had to go out to, bridge the gap. And so you're seeing all these things coming out now trying to recoup some of their payout costs.
I think just the concept though that Yellen said, what she directly called unrealized gains income, I just found that to be disturbing. It's not income. You're just literally gaslighting me right now. It's not income. You can call it whatever, this a gain, whatever. It's not income.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything yet.
First thing I thought of was Steve's strategy of not trading to not realize.
They're coming for you, Steve.
For me.
They've been listening.
My liability would be 20 times the amount of cash I have. That would be donezo for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of want to, ask at that point. It's okay, so if you're going to tax me on it now, does that mean that next year, if that unrealized value has dropped substantially, does that mean I get it all back? Or
yeah,
my understanding was that no, you're shit out of luck.
I mean, yeah, obviously that's the answer that they're going to give, but that also makes it, I think, a much tougher sell in the long run.
Imagine if it applied across the board to everybody of every income bracket, what that would do to people's trading.
It would be so devastating. Oh my God.
Speculation
would just pretty much die.
You wouldn't want to hold on to anything. I don't even know how much gain would you want before you would pull out.
Monero would probably 1000x.
Yeah, it was up a couple days ago when nothing else was. So that's the only thing I could think of that was fueling it.
Yeah, I mean, that's perpetually what's fueling it. It's anytime anyone comes close to sniffing around to hard regulation, taxation, tracking of any kind, crypto, all of a sudden Monero price spikes 20 or 30%. Oh God, quick, get it over there.
I know there's some big thing right now because I think CipherTrace filed 3 different patents for Monero tracing tools, and I think they're charging government $20,000 a license to use it or something like that. But one of the Monero devs came out on Twitter and was yeah, here, let me tell you why all these are bullshit and they don't work. And the government's just essentially getting fleeced because they think that it gives them a better probability of tracking Monero. But
yeah, I did see that I feel this has been sort of a roundabout conversation, because I think before CipherTrace even filed the patents for it, they were claiming that they had done it, and basically one of the devs was prove it.
Yeah.
Like, like seriously, you want to claim that? Like, prove it right now, because I don't believe you.
This being the internet.
Yeah,
Fix or it didn't happen.
yeah, like just, and I mean, in that particular regard, like, I'm kind of inclined to go with the um insane privacy obsessed hacker who's remained hidden for how long? Like,
Yeah.
how many years?
I always imagine like the kind of people, and granted, there was like that one dude who got picked up in the US that was like a prior Monero maintainer, but I always imagine like the OG like coders that work on these projects are probably like, the the cream of the crop, like most invisible dudes that have ever existed on the internet.
Pretty much. I mean, there's definitely people
on proxies, on proxies, on VPN, on VPN, on VPN, on proxy, on VPN, on proxy.
Yeah. I mean, there's like sort of I don't want to say exactly like docs, but like there's like the people who are um technically anonymous, but still like sort of legitimized in a sense um in internet spaces that they have their internet persona, but they have like businesses built around like crypto or whatever that have their real name on it, that
Yeah.
they're not like clandestine.
They're
They
moonlighting.
they just don't want like anyone on Twitter to know their real name, which is obviously fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is like the people that like really developed privacy coins and had whatever reasons they had for wanting to develop privacy coins beyond just like a big fuck you to the government. Those people have never, like, the faces of like Monero, like the people that get arrested that are publicly known, like they probably don't know their real names.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like straight up like Al Qaeda cell shit.
Yeah.
Like you only know like 3 other dudes total in the whole organization.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing with like, I don't know, the eternal battle between like privacy and law and order, I don't know. It's a super interesting question when you get into it, because I think some things like this do need to exist, because I tend to think that like, let's say any government agency, like if they really want to throw all their resources at it, like they have a million different ways to find, let's say like a Monero, if they can, really narrow it down on one like Monero user, they'll find you and they'll for sure get you. Right. So it's not like these privacy coins completely cripple the government, and so I think that maybe like some of these like handicaps for like legitimate privacy reasons do need to exist. But there's a lot of people out there that would say that, there's no legitimate reason for a privacy coin and all it is for terrorists and, mafia members and criminals. But I think that you also have a lot of people like that maybe a lot of regimes in other places would call illegitimate, that like the US is backing, right, to topple certain like dictators and things like that using privacy tools like Tor, like Monero and things like that. So they definitely need to exist.
To some degree, it goes back to every government's desire to have the ability, and I will definitely say the US government probably more than most in this case, to have the ability to control all aspects of those things. Like, even if the argument being that they don't want to use it, they just want to have it, which is one, a ridiculous argument, because if you have it, you're going to use it. But also, it's like they went through all of this during like the period when cryptography, like encryption, was classified as what was it? It was classified as weaponry, right?
Yeah.
Like you couldn't export it.
Yeah.
You could not export strong encryption outside of the United States. And the answer to people who wanted like tougher and tougher encryption was the government introduced the Clipper chip, which was supposed to be really strong encryption, except that it had a backdoor that the government could use to get through that encryption and read all of the encrypted whatever, which was almost immediately proven to be a terrible plan, because assuming that you have built a backdoor into something and that you are the only person who is ever going to have that backdoor is just insane.
Yeah.
So like
the entire
door's a door.
Yeah, exactly. So the government pursuing, ways to find, ways to track all of these hidden funds also works for the bad guys as well.
Yeah.
Like, and now you have, terrorist organizations able to track the movements of, large amounts of money that is exceptionally difficult to trace, to prove it exists, and the ability to like follow those people, steal that money, do untoward things with it. Yeah. So I think that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah. The whole thing, I don't know. Again, it's just like, it's a little bit too shallow of a position, I think, to say that like privacy coins are all bad. Criminal's a relative term, and right. A lot of the people that Western governments support look like criminals in certain parts of the world. So,
yeah, and for that matter, what about all of the people who would be using privacy coins to, avoid the clutches of more and more sophisticated warlords that control the entire government and economies of their countries?
Right. Yeah, that's why I think like in Africa, like the crypto revolution is going to look increasingly crazy. Like, I don't know if you're following like the coup that had just happened in Sudan, and then there was one in Mali like a few months before that, but like, just complete and utter chaos. But I like, a lot of these these armed groups are transacting in cryptocurrency, and a lot of people don't trust the national, like in Nigeria, nobody trusts the Naira. So everybody's transacting in cryptocurrency. So it's, it's kind of like, I don't know, some of these places, it looks like a Mad Max film in some ways. But
I forget what it is. There's a term for when like an emergent country leapfrogs a technology.
Yeah, it's kind of like in Afghanistan, they didn't have land telephone lines, and they skipped immediately to smartphones, like to cellular GSM infrastructure.
Mm-hmm. And because they have they don't have infrastructure built on like the older technology, they actually end up almost immediately like reaching a higher level of adoption and becoming more technologically advanced than like, like established like first world whatever countries.
Didn't have like vested interests in previous infrastructure and flags planted in the sand that you had to overcome. So you can move a lot quicker. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on Team Call. We'd love to connect with you outside of the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Beaksy Exchange and at Bade Bitcoin. You can also find us on YouTube by searching Beaksy Exchange and at Beaksy, BEAXY.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time, cheers.
Thank you for calling